let's get started. Hey everyone, we'll just start the lesson now. Today we'll teach you guys how to write a line graph. And first off, we'll have a quick introduction to task one, then we'll move on to, with the line graph. So first I just have, my name is Furqat John. I'm an Ielts instructor, got 8, and I've been working as an Ielts as a teacher for the last 5 years. So so now let's answer this question. So what is task one? So we have how many? 7 types of task one reports. So can you guys write so what is this one? The first one. What is this one called? In the group. Yes, table. That's right. Number 2. What about this one? This one. Number 2. Bar chart. Yeah. And 3. What about number 3? Yeah, we have line graph. Number 4 is pie chart. 5 is a process. 6 is a map. Who's that? I think I muted everyone. Oh, come on. Okay. Please keep silent. So so we have a map, and we also have more than one graph reports. Yeah. So can you all listen? Can you all hear me? Just write in the group. I'm not sure. Okay, let's move on. So what is task one? First off, I just give you guys a quick information about task one. So the task is to describe what you see. So you write a report. Okay, and you have 20 minutes for this task. Sometimes you can spend more than 20 minutes or less than 20 minutes, depending on your choice. But the suggested minutes is 20 minutes. So, and must write at least 150 words. If you don't reach 150 words, you will probably have a punishment. So just try to aim this limit, okay, 150 words. Another thing is you should not give opinion. Okay, it's not task one. It's task. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So it's not task two. It's not an essay. Give opinion. Okay, you just write what you see. All right. So another thing is you should not give any conclusion. Instead, you have to write an overview. An overview is probably the most important part of our writing. Task one. So is my voice clear? Some people are saying my voice is not clear. Is it clear? Okay, let's move on now. So now let's talk about question types. So we have, as you know, we have 6 different types of task one reports. We have line graph, bar chart, pie chart, table, map, and process. But they can be divided into 2 groups. The first one, in the first 4 examples, there are numbers, and you have to describe numbers, you have to compare, and you have to talk about changes and trends. But in maps and process, for example, in maps, you have to compare 2 pictures, 2 pictures of a city or something. And in process, of course, you have to describe a process, okay? So since these 4 are related to each other, the first lesson, line graph, is very important because everything you're going to learn in today's lesson will be important in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th lesson, all right? So just pay attention to the class, okay? So now let's move on. So let's talk about essay structure. Essay structure is pretty straightforward. You probably know it. We have 4 paragraphs: introduction, overview, body 1 and body 2. But sometimes you can just put overview paragraph at the end but I suggest you to write it, after introduction, okay? Because overview is the most important part. So, yeah, in introduction, you just have to, write one sentence and you just paraphrase the question. And in overview, you have to include key features, like main changes and trends. And this is the most important part of your writing. And we'll talk about this overview and other body paragraphs in this lesson, okay? So this is just a quick details. So in body 1 and body 2, you have to give details, okay? And we're going to look at each paragraph throughout this course, okay? So yeah, here's my plan for this lesson. So first off, we'll learn how to describe trends. Then we'll look at some prepositions. Then we'll learn how to write an introduction, overview, body 1, body 2. And we'll also learn how to include complex grammar so that you can get 7 or higher. And yeah, we'll have a recap, okay? So now let's move on to describing trends. So first off, I have to talk a little bit about line graphs. So in line graph, we have this y-axis, and we have in y-axis you will always have numbers, okay? And we have x-axis, and x-axis will have time, okay, years, etc. So and line graphs mostly show numbers changing over a period of time. So, and you will probably have something that looks like this, okay? So, all right, now let's talk about how to describe trends. Mainly we have 4 types of trends. The first one is increasing trends, yeah? And you can use either verbs or nouns. Yeah? So we have rise, increase, grow, and you can also say a rise, an increase, a growth, but I will teach you how to write them throughout the course, so don't worry. So then we have a decrease, yeah? So when the item decreases, you just use these words: fall, decrease, fall, and decrease, dip, etc. Then we also have when times, as you can see, it doesn't change. So we use these words: level out, not change, remain stable, remain steady, stay constant, etc. So yeah, and the last trend is fluctuation, when the number doesn't remain steady or doesn't grow, doesn't go up or go down. It's just fluctuation, so yeah. So we have 4 trends. Now we'll learn how to use them actually in writing. So, but before we move on, I just have to tell you about degree and speed. What it means is that sometimes they are dramatic, sometimes changes are, slight, gradual, okay? So, and depending on the intensity, depending on the degree and speed, we use different adverbs and adjectives. For example, here we can say, so this one is rise, but you can say enormous or considerable rise, because as you can see, the change is very big. Yep. So we just say enormous, considerable rise, but you can also say substantial rise. Okay. So as you can see, the change is big. But here we don't use. You can use dramatic rise or sharp rise. Why? Because the change is very dramatic, and we are increasing, the numbers are increasing from over 5 to 105 in just 10 years. So this one is either sharp rise or dramatic rise. Okay? And we also have here, as you can see, the change is very minimal. So you just use the word gradual or minimal, or you can also say slight change, because over time it's changing very, slightly, from 45 to under 65. Okay? So now we'll just put them into action. We'll just use them in sentence. Okay? So there are actually 3 ways to describe trend. Okay? the first one is when you use, verb plus adverb. For example, the profit increases sharply. So we have the subject, we have the verb and the adverb. So this is the first one, first way of describing a trend. And the second one is a little bit more interesting, more advanced. So you just use something, then you just use another word, has, show, experience, adjective and noun. Yeah. So you can say the profit experiences a sharp increase. So yeah, this is the second way. And we also have the third way of describing a trend, and you just say there is plus an adjective noun, and after in you just have to write the item at the end. So you can notice the difference. Yeah, like in the first two examples, we have the profit at the beginning of the sentence. Yeah, the profit increases, the profit experiences. But in the third example, you'll have to put the subject at the end of the sentence. Okay, there is a sharp increase in the profit. So yeah. Okay, you guys can listen to me. Can you guys hear me? Is everything clear? Like you can write one sentence after all. Can you all hear me? Is my internet okay, guys? Okay. No? Okay, it's clear. So let's move on then. Now we'll just try to use this in action. I think I have to send it to you guys before we move on. So let me just send it to you guys. So now we'll do some exercise. So let me just send it to you. Just 1 second. Okay. Let me pin this real quick. Okay. Now, you have to know this. There is a golden rule. Yeah. First, you have to write the item, then action plus number, and at the end, you'll have to write the period. Okay, number and period. So, let's look at this example. So, it's about car sales, and it starts at around 15 here, and at the end, it goes up to 105. So, how can we describe it? So here's how. So you just say the number of car sales increased sharply from well over 5 to 105 between 1960 and 2010. So as you can see, first you just write the item, the number of car sales. Then you write the action, increased sharply. Then you write the number, like how did it change? Yeah, it increased from well over 5 to 105. And at the end, you have to write the years, okay? So the years mostly come at the end, okay? So this is as you can see, this is just one, the first example, yeah, like the profit increases sharply, the number increases sharply. So this is the same. This is the first way. What about the second style, second way? So you just say the number of car sales showed a sharp increase from well over 5 to 105 between 1960 and 2010. As you can see, everything is almost the same except for the action part. So instead of saying increase sharply, we are saying showed a sharp increase. So this is a bit different, yeah, but they're almost the same except for the action part. So what about the third one? Let's look at you're asking about well over. So we have this word well over. What it means is that, as you can see, it's above this number, yeah, like above 5. So whenever you don't have the exact number, you can just say well over 5, yeah, instead of saying 15. Like you can also say 15 or something, but if you don't want to if you're not sure, you just write well over because it's over 5. So yeah, that's what it means. Now let's look at the third example. So there was a sharp increase in the number of car sales from well over 5 to 105 between 1960 and 2010. So as you can see, we have the item after this, yeah, there was a sharp increase in the number of car sales. So yeah, that's the difference. So here's what we're gonna do. I will just send you guys this. So now we'll do some exercise, guys. I will just send it to you. So let's wait a minute. My internet is not good. Okay. So can you listen to me? Like, a lot of people are complaining about my internet. My internet is okay. Like, can you all hear me? Just write yes, something. Internet is good. Is my internet okay? Like, I have to pin this. So, okay, clear. Good. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Now you know how to describe trends. Now we'll do some exercise. So you will have to describe the trend. Okay, I will show you a trend and you have to describe it. So now I want you to describe this trend in one of 3 examples. Yeah, I showed you 3 ways of doing it. So just write your answers in the group. I will check them in the group. Okay. If you got, okay sign, I will just give a reaction to you, okay, if it's right, if you just write correctly. So just write your answers in the section, in the group. We'll check it. Okay. So yeah, write your answers here. I will check it. Okay, I'm waiting. Just write your answers. Can you share the picture, which we should do? I already shared it. You want me to share? Okay. The number of cars sold decreased dramatically from 105 to 5 between 1965 and 2010. Very well. That's a good one. So that's correct. So now you guys can try some other ways of doing it. Yeah, this is the. I think this one is the first example. Oh yeah, Abdurrahman. There was a big decrease in the number of car sales from 105 to 5 over the given span. The proportion of, okay, good one. The proportion of car sales experienced considerable decline from, okay, Shah, you forgot to include the number, yeah? First, you have to write the number before you move on to periods, okay? So just include the numbers as well, okay? Not just the years, but also the numbers, okay? From 105 to 5. We don't say sharply reduction. Instead, you should say sharp reduction because we have adjective. You need to include adjective plus noun. So it should be sharp reduction. Okay. So what about others? The number of car sales decreased sharply from. Yep, that's correct. It was a considerable decrease. That's also correct. Yeah, that's good. Iger or something. The number of cars decreased sharply. Correct. Yes. Okay, I think everyone got it. Now I will show you some answers. Okay, so here's how you can say it. The number of car sales decreased significantly from 105 to 5 between 1960 and 2010. So this is the first way of doing it. Now let's look at the number 2. So you can also say the number of car sales showed a significant decrease from 105 to 5 between 1960 and 2010. This is the second way. And the third example, let's look at the third example. So you can say there was a sharp decrease in the number of car sales from 105 to 5 between 1960 and 2010. So as you can see, I'm using the word number because this is probably about numbers, not proportion. If you write proportion, it's probably incorrect because we don't have the percentage sign here. So it should be, okay, the number of car sales. So yeah, these are, I will just send it to you guys. So, okay. Now let's move on to the next one. So how would you describe fluctuations, guys? So write your answers in the comments and in the group again. So I want you to describe this one. Okay. So how would you describe? There is the wild fluctuation, maybe. Steady remain. No, it's not remaining steady. It's probably a fluctuation. Okay. So let me just show you the answers. The first way, you can just say the number of net users fluctuated at around 65 between 1960 and 2010. So you can see I'm saying like fluctuated at around. So because this is fluctuating around number 65. But you can also say fluctuated at around 55, yeah, because it's the middle part of it. So this is the first way of doing it. But here's another way. You can also say the number of net users experienced a period of volatility at around 65 between 1960 and 2010. So yeah, this is the using the internet between 85 and 25 over the period. So as you can see, this one is a bit different from the first two examples. Instead of saying at around 65, I'm saying between 85 and 25 because as you can see, it's fluctuating between 85 and 25. So you can say between 85 and 25, okay? I'll probably send it to you guys. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you for your examples. That was good. So now let's move on to number 4. So how would you describe this one? Like, as you can see, it's not changing. And I'll give you a hint. You have to use preposition at. Okay, preposition at should be used in this example. Okay, try to, you can just, remaining steady, of course, but I want you to write the whole sentence, okay? Just write the whole sentence. The amount of car sales went up moderately. Who's that? Guys, mute, please mute. I can hear my own voice. Who's talking? Okay. All right, let me read your examples. The amount of car sales. Okay, you shouldn't say the amount because the amount is used with uncountable nouns. Yep. So yeah, it's better to say the number of. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think it should be number amount maybe. Yeah, but this one is about case of polio. Okay, it's about case of polio. This one is different. So number of case of polio shows a steady remain well over 45 between Yeah, you're almost correct. Your writing is almost right, but you should say, you know, shows a steady. It's not correct. You should say remain steady. Okay, the examples are remain steady, remain stable. Yeah. So the number of net users stayed steady at around 55. Yeah, this one is correct. Okay. Let me just. How can I? Oh, okay. So this one is correct. Let me just write correct. The number of car sales experienced a period of stability. Yes, but after stability, you should use the word at. Okay, at 55. This one would be correct. Number of car sales experienced a period of. Okay, now let me show you guys the answer. So the case of polio remained stable at 55 between 1960 and 2010. This is the first way of doing it. The second way, so since case of polio is actually a disease, okay? So it gives you a chance to use really nice words like suffer, okay? You can say the number of people suffering from polio experienced a period of stability at around 55 between 1960 and 2010. So that's how you can say it, okay? Suffer from. And the third one, you can say there was no change in the case of polio at well over 45 over the entire period. So that's one way to do that. So if your answer is similar to these examples, congratulations. If not, just do your best and learn. Okay, I will just send you guys the answers as well. So now we'll look at some prepositions, like which prepositions we should use, like when to use, etc. First off, we'll just talk about from, to. So when do you use it? You use it after, verb phrases, yeah. So from is used for the starting point, to is used for end point. So you just say the profit rose from 44% to 65%. The profits showed a rise from 44% to 65%. So yeah, it starts from 45 and ends at 65. But sometimes you can, you don't have to write from, yeah, because you probably mentioned the starting point at the beginning of your sentence. So you can say, for example, here, you just say the profit started at 50%, then it rose to 65%. Here you don't have to write the preposition from, because we already know like it starts at 50%. So yeah. Now let's move on to by. So we use by when you talk about the amount of change, okay? How much something changed, yep. So let's look at this example. So let's say the profit rose from 50% to 65%. So what is the difference between 50 and 65? Like how much, what is the percentage that is between, yes, 15%, yeah, 15% difference. So we can say the profit rose by 15%. So it just shows the amount of change happening in something, okay? So yeah, that's it. So it just describes the amount of change, okay? Thank you. Now let's move on to another preposition, which is at. So when do we use it? So when the verbs used are not about overall change, we refer to the levels using the preposition at. So when you're not talking about overall change, you just use at. So instead, you just have to remember, you just use these words, you just use at with these words. For example, start, remain, pick, fluctuate, finish. So with all these words, you have to use the word at. So that's all you have to remember. So you just say the profit started at 45 units. It remained level. It remained unchanged at about 60. The number picked at 89, etc. So you just use them with these words, okay? So, okay, I will just probably send it to you guys. Actually, you don't have to you don't have to worry about the photos. I will just send you guys the video so you can watch the video and check your answers again, okay? So now let's move on to another preposition, which is of, yeah? So this figure is either an amount of change when used with a change noun. Sometimes you can use it to describe an amount of change, yeah? For example, the profit showed a rise of, let's say, 15%. And it is the same as the profit showed a rise by 15%, okay? It's almost the same with by, okay? But sometimes it can also refer to a level, a point on the graph. For example, the profit went to a peak of 65, yeah, if it's a peak. Or sometimes you can say the profit went to a low of some number, okay, when it's a level, okay? So it can either be, you know, an amount of change or a level, okay? So both. So yeah, we are done with preposition. Now I want you to look at this sentence and tell me what is wrong with this sentence, okay? Write your answers in the comments. So what is wrong with this sentence? What is missing here? It's not difficult, yeah? Cars figure, are close, Ahmad, but not it's not cars figure. It should be, yes, the number, yeah, you're right. Yes, the number of cars. So you should never say just cars itself or people itself. You should always use, you know, quantity word, okay? So you should never say cars increased. Instead, you should say the number of cars increased from 30 million to 50 million between 1990 and 2000. So this is a very common mistake among IELTS candidates. So yeah, just bear in mind. Another thing is we use amount. We use number. I'm really sorry. I'm a bit confused. So don't use amount, okay? Because it's about the number of cars, okay? Not cars are countable. When the cars are countable, you just use number of, okay? So now let's move on to other quantity words. So, so as you can see, we have these quantity words here. So we use the number when you talk about plural countable noun. Yeah, for example, people. So with people, you use the number of people because people are countable. So when do we use the amount? We use the amount when you're talking about something that is uncountable. Yeah, for example, the amount of rainfall, the amount of something, yeah, the amount of rain. So proportion and percentage, they are used only with percentage, okay? If the numbers are in percentage, so you just use these two words, proportion or percentage. Otherwise, it's either amount or number. And we also have the figures for, and the figures for is very nice word, and it can be used for interchangeably for all these four examples. So you can say the number, the figures for people. You can also say the figures for rainfall. So yeah, it can be used for this, you know, as a replacement. So I will probably send this one to you as well. So let me just. Now let's do another example. So I want you to find like what quantity word we should use with these words. Okay, so you should just say either the amount of or the number of. Okay, so we have 5 words here: sugar, people, rain, water, student. So we'll do it something like this. So with sugar, like which one should we use? The number or amount of sugar? Number? Okay, everyone got it right. Of course, not number. We should use amount, yeah, because it's uncountable. So the amount of sugar. What about people? What about people? Yes, with people we should use number, okay? Because yeah, people are countable. And what about rain? What about rain? Rainfall, rain, etc. Yes, amount of rain. That's correct. But water, water, number of water, or amount. Yes, with water you should use amount as well. What about students? Yes, with students we should use number. Yeah. So the amount of sugar, the number of people, the amount of rain, the amount of water, the number of students. So we also have percentage, yeah, we also have proportion. They're always used with percentage, okay? Otherwise, you shouldn't use them, okay? Only percentage. When you see the percentage, then you can use percentage or the amount of, the proportion of. So now let's move on to the next one. Now the lesson gets a little bit more interesting. By interesting, I mean a bit more advanced now. Now we'll look at this line graph. I hope you can all see it. So first we'll learn how to write an introduction, okay? So this one is about undergraduate students. Undergraduate students are students who are at university right now. So students who are studying at university. So they are undergraduate students. So it's in 4 countries between 1995 and 2015. So it's about quantities of students. So let's learn how to write an introduction. So if you have read the book I sent you guys, you probably know how to write an introduction. So before I show you my own example, can you guys write your own introduction for this question? I hope you can all see it. Just write your example. Okay, yes, I will send the video as well. I'm recording it, don't worry. So yeah, I want you to write an introduction for this question, okay? Just share your answer in the group. Don't worry, guys. I'm recording the video. Okay, let me check. So as you can see, I'm recording it. Don't worry. It's over 38 minutes, so don't worry. So write your introduction before I move on. Can you guys write your own introduction? Okay, Ahmad John. The presented line graph compares the number of students in 4 different countries from 1895 to 25. Okay, that's correct, except for the year. Otherwise, it's really good. It's a good introduction. So, what about others? Can you guys write your own answers here? So the line graph, Johnny, the line graph highlights the number of undergraduate students in thousands in 4 different countries from 9. Yep, that's correct. The diagram gives information about the number of students. Yep. Okay, Sorbek, that's correct. But you forgot to include the years. Okay, Sorbek, you should include the years at the end of your sentence. Okay. I'm really sorry. So yeah, I will send the video lesson to the group. Don't worry. Okay, the line graph illustrates the information students for diverse countries during a 20-year period commencing from 1995. Okay, Abdurrahman, this is okay writing, but it's a bit natural, but yeah. All right, guys, thank you guys for your answers. Now let's see some example. So instead of saying the graph below shows, you can say the line graph illustrates, but there are a lot of other ways of doing it, but this is just one simple way to do that. So you can also say, for example, the number of undergraduate students can be paraphrased how many undergraduate level students there were, yeah, because it's about students in some countries. So, what about in 4 countries? Instead of saying in 4 countries, you can either say in 4 parts of the world, or you can say, since this is all European countries, you can just say in 4 European countries. All right? And instead of saying between 1995 and 2015, you can say over a period of 20 years or over 2 decades, or you can say from 1995 to 2015. So, yeah. And here's how you can write it. Yeah? The line graph illustrates how many undergraduate level students there were in 4 European countries over a period of 20 years. Or alternatively, you can say the line graph gives information about the number of undergraduates studying in 4 European countries over 2 decades. All right? So this is really nice way. So how can you improve your introduction? So you just have to do a lot of practice. You have to read a lot of sample answers and learn from the experts there. So it takes time, to learn how to write an introduction. So yeah, I'll probably send it to you guys as well. So let's move on to the next one. Now we'll move on to important part of our lesson, which is overview. So overview paragraph is the most important part of task 1. Without a good overview, you cannot get 7 in IELTS writing task 1, okay? It's really important to have a decent overview to get 7 in IELTS task 1. Otherwise, it's really hard. So why do you need a good overview? Easy. So if you look at task 1 band descriptors, it says to get 7, you have to present a clear overview of main trends, differences, and stages. So that's why you need to include a clear overview. So now we'll learn how to write a good overview. Okay. So let's look at this task 1 report, task 1 example. So it's about global water use by sector. So I got a question for you guys. So what do all these 3 items have in common? What do they have in common? What is similar? So what do they have in common? Just write your answers in the group. Yes, increase. Yeah, you're right. Rise, increase. Yes. You guys all got it right. As you can see, all 3 rising. Yeah, all 3 of them show a rising trend and an upward trend. So that's what they have in common. So what else can we say about this writing? Can we compare these 3? So is there any difference between agriculture and the rest of the sectors? So what is the difference between agriculture and industrial use, domestic use? So yes, use is different, but what about okay, let me tell you something. So as you can see, there is a huge difference, yeah? Agriculture is the highest, while these 2, industrial use and domestic use, are significantly lower in agriculture. And you can see this whole huge difference. There's a very big difference. So now we can make up, we can make like 2 key features. The first key feature is all of them are rising. Yeah? And the second key feature will be this highest point. So agriculture is the highest in all countries. Yeah. So So these are two key features. So we can say all three sectors showing a rise, and agriculture is by far the highest. And there's a huge difference between agriculture and the rest of the industries. Okay, so now let's talk about key features for overview. So there are actually like a lot of key features, but I will just talk about like the most important key features. So the first one is called overall change. So what it means is that you need to find something similar among the items, like what do they have in common? Are they all rising? Are they all increasing? Or are they they're staying the same? Yeah. So this is overall change. And you can also include highest and lowest. And we just saw that example in agriculture. And you can also talk about biggest change over the period. As you can see, some items experience a bigger change compared to others. So you can also include that. And you can also include, any noticeable features, something that stands out in the graph. Okay? So these are really important key features. So now we'll learn them. So as a rule of thumb, you need to get a 7 for your writing test 1. You should aim to include at least 2 key features, but sometimes 1 key feature is enough. But the 2 key features, should be your aim, okay? If you want to get 7 or higher in your writing, all right? Now I will just send it to you guys. I'll just send this. So we'll do another task now. So another important thing, like which tense should I use? Like which tense do I have to use in this example? Which tense? Present simple, future or something? Should I use present? Can I use present simple? If you look at the years, it's about like 19,000 and 2,000. So this is all in the past. So only it's better to use past simple, okay? Because it's about the past. All right. So past simple mostly because of the years. It's all in the past. But sometimes in few cases, like in some sentences, you can use past perfect simple. But this is for, I will explain it in the lesson, so don't worry about it, like why we need to use past perfect. But mostly, past simple. Now, okay, now I will just show you the whole overview paragraph. So you can say, overall, it's clear that the amount of water used around the world showed an upward trend in all sectors. So this is called overall change. Yeah, this is overall change feature. Now, in the next sentence, I just say, while the largest quantity of water was used for irrigation purposes, significantly less water was used for other purposes. So this is a very good writing. So this is how you can get 7. So I will probably send it to you guys. Here's what we do. Now you guys learned a little bit about how to write an overall. Now we'll look at another report, and I want you guys to find the key features. So what are the key features about this? Okay, the graph below shows the proportion of population age 65 and over between 1940 and 2040 in 3 different countries. So can you guys analyze the key features of this report? Okay, just write your answers in the comments in the group. What are the key features? Just write your answers. Yes. Yes, the first thing is you have to find what is common, like what do they have in common? Yes, you're right. So the first key feature, you can easily see like all of them are rising. Yeah, like Japan, Sweden, all of them show rise. If you look at the first year, they have like between 10 and 5, but in the last year they have like 25 to 20%. Yeah. So the first key feature. So what do they have in common? So all of them are rising, as you can see. So who's that? Come on, guys. Okay. Please, guys, mute your video. So the first key feature is all three showing a rise. Yeah, like as you can see, like all of them showing a rise, like they have a rise. It's not a fluctuation, guys. So as you can see, it's not a fluctuation. It's still increasing. Okay. What about the second key feature? Another key feature. What is something that stands out like, from this graph? Can you find it? Like what stands out? Like what is? What was that? Who's that? Come on, guys, just mute your microphone, guys. I'm trying to teach here. So, yes, I think you guys all got it right. So as you can see, Japan was the lowest at the beginning of the period, but at the end, it is the highest. So you can talk about it, yeah? So it was the lowest, but now it's the highest. So you just say Japan sees the biggest change, okay? It was just 5, but now it's over 25. So it's almost 20% change. So it has the biggest change. So these are two key features that you can include in your overall. Now, I got another question for you. So which sense should I use? So as you can see, we have 1940, we have 2020, we have 2022 here probably, and also have the future. So what tense I should use? Future simple? No. Past and future. So for overall, okay, for overall you need to use only one like tense. Past, yeah, you can use past, but you should use them in body paragraphs. Okay. Yes, present. Thank you, guys. You should use the present simple. So whenever you have like all three periods, like past, present, and future, so you should use present simple. So here's how you can write. Yeah? So it's clear that the proportion of elderly people increases in each country between 1940 and 2040. So this is called overall change key feature. And then we have Japan is expected to see the most dramatic changes in its elderly population. So yeah, this is how we write an overview. So yeah, overall change and something that stands out. All right. Let me just send it to you guys. All right. So I think now you have some idea like of how to write what do we call overviews. Now I want you to try and write your own overview. Okay. So here we have this example. I hope you guys all can see it. So I want you to, before you talk about the key features, can you guys write your own overview? Just write them in introduction, and I will in group. Just write one overview for this report. Okay, just write your answers, overview. So as you can see, it's a bit more confusing than the first two examples. So can we use all the years? Can we use all the years? Yeah, you can use it. It depends on the paragraph. So I have this report. I want you to guys write your own overview paragraph, okay? Just write one overview paragraph in the group and I will check them, okay? So it's an exercise. According to the picture below, we can say in 4 years the number of students were different. No, this is a very, it's not a good overview here. You forgot the key features. Okay, you should only use past simple here because it's about the past, 1995 and 2015. Okay, let's look at, let's analyze the key features. I think you might be having a difficulty writing an overview. So, so as you can see, let's look at Sweden. So what's happening with Sweden, okay? Let's look at Sweden. So as you can see, Sweden is decreasing, yeah? Like it's decreased. But the other countries, so as you can see, the other lines, all of them are rising. This one is also rising, okay? This one is also rising. So all of them are rising except for Sweden. This is the first key feature that you have to include in your overview paragraph, okay? Let me just, all right. So, so we can see a general increase in all countries except for Sweden. So all of them are rising, but Sweden is not. So you just say, this is the first key feature, okay? So now I gave you guys a hint. Now based on this information, just write your answers and I will read them. Can be clearly seen. Okay, Abdurrahman, it's not a good introduction. It's clear that there is a big change in 3 countries. All right. What stands out from the graph is that while the number of Australian, Spanish, and Greek students witnessed an upward trend, the figures for the Swedish students experienced the opposite trend. Johnny, you wrote a really good example. So this. So what about others? I will try to read as many as I can. Overall, it's clear that the quantity of undergraduated. So Gulshan, it's not undergraduated students. It should be undergraduate students without D. Okay, undergraduate students showed upward trends, except Sweden between. Yes, you got it right. Overall, Montserrat, it's clear. It's been while Sweden. Yes, you got it right. Thank you. All right, I think most of you got it right. Now I will show you guys the overview paragraph. So can you guys read it? Here's one example. So generally speaking, the number of undergraduates in all countries but Sweden. So but Sweden is except Sweden. So the number of undergraduates in all countries except Sweden grew noticeably over the span. Over the span is another way of saying over the period. So what about the other features? So you can also talk about Greece. Yeah, it's also apparent that Greece comprised by far the lowest figures. So yeah, as you can see, Greece is showing the lowest figures. And number 2, you can also say the biggest change in number in the meantime was recorded in Sweden. As you can see, Sweden biggest change. Okay, it was 350, now it's almost 200, which is like 150 like difference. So yeah, Let me just show them. Let me just send it to you guys. So yeah. So I hope you guys see the answers. So yeah, that's how you can write a good introduction. So as you can see, first off, it's talking about overall change. The second one is the lowest figures. The third one is like biggest change in number. So as you can see, there are three key features. Okay, the first one overall, second lowest, third one is biggest change. All right, now let's move on to the next part. So now let's talk about the organization. So how would you organize the information into two body paragraphs? So mostly you have to organize body paragraphs according to the differences and similarities. Yeah. So as you can see, there's a big difference between agriculture and industrial use and domestic use. So what we should do is to organize, like to write, to talk about agriculture in body 1 and talk about industrial use and domestic use in body 2. Why? Because these two are similar to each other. They have lower numbers compared to agriculture. Agriculture is a lot different. So we talk about agriculture in body 1, and body 2 is for the rest of the paragraph. So now, what about this one? So here's what you can do. So in body 1, you can talk about Spain, Greece, and Austria, because as you can see, like all of them showing an increase. So, but in body 2, you talk about Sweden, because Sweden has what's it called, decrease. Yeah. So that's how you should organize body paragraphs. So now we'll write body paragraphs. Okay. Now I will explain how to write body paragraphs. So in body paragraphs, here's how you should write. First, you talk about like one by one, kind of like. So as you can see, this Spain can be divided into two parts. Yeah, like the first we have constant increase, then we have a decrease. So here's how you can start your sentence. Looking at increases first. Why we say it? Because we're talking about increases, yeah, like 3 increases. The number of undergraduates in Spain increased steadily from just over 250,000 in the first year. So as you can see, 250 in the first year to 350 in 2010. So in 2010, it increases to 350. And then you can also say before slightly dipping by 25,000 in 2015. So as you can see, this is a really nice way of writing. So as you can see, like there's also a complete number, which is like before, yeah. So then you can say, despite this negligible fall, it easily had the greatest count for most of the period. So it had a negligible fall, but still it is the highest, yeah. So it's still the highest despite this decrease. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to guys to explain this Greece, okay? So we have let's see. So we have Greece here. Can you all see it? Greece. So I want you to describe this, okay? Write your own example for this one. Only for this lion. Okay? I want you to describe this lion. So you can divide it into 2 parts, yeah? One is from this part to 2010, and then the rest, okay? I want you to describe this part. Okay. So I want you to write similar sentence about what is called Austria. Oh, I'm sorry. This one is Austria, yeah? So I want you to make a similar sentence about Austria, okay? This one, this line, Austria. Make a similar sentence, okay? Write something about Austria, okay? I will check them in groups, okay? Next time it would be perfect if you let us know about I will let you know. You also have to be in the group, yeah? All right, guys, just write your answers about Austria. Make a similar sentence about Austria. There was a gradual reduction between 1995 and 2010, but then it showed drastic growth. Okay, still, Dilsora, you forgot to include the numbers like 250,000, 350,000. You just included the years only, but you also have to include the numbers, okay? If you don't include the numbers, okay, you will not get a good score. So you should include the numbers, okay? So you should include the numbers here, 200, 250, 350, etc. So Abbas, yeah, I will read your answer. The number of senior course students in Greece is fluctuated. So here's your mistake. This is in the past. You have to use past simple. All right. Everyone just use past simple. Try to use past simple. Okay. So it's not an overall. It's body paragraph. You should include the details. So there was a slight increase of Greece students from about 100 to 200. Yes, that's a good one, but you forgot to include the last year numbers as well. Yes, that's a good one. I'm reading your answers, guys. So there was a significant growth in the number of students from having reached a peak at yep, that's a good one. In 1995, the number of students was at around 220, although there was a significant rise at the end of the period, getting second position with about Mavlabek, your writing is a bit confusing, but overall it's fine. Yeah, but it should be I think you should make some changes. Johnny, the figures for the students in Austria increased gradually from around 90 to well over 150 in the given period. All right, that's an okay one. Mulbeck. But we're not talking about elderly people. Okay, we're talking about students. Mulbeck, we're talking about students. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys for your answers. It was great. Now, let's look at the example. All right. So here's how you can say it. Yeah. Similarly, as you can see, I'm using the word similarly. Similarly, why? Because these two are similar to each other. Yeah. They both are increasing. Oh, this one is about Greece. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about Greece then. So although the figure for Greece was lowest throughout the span, so it was the lowest, yeah, throughout the whole period. It had shown an uninterrupted increase from approximately 80,000 to 180,000 by the final year. So as you can notice, we are using past perfect. Yeah, it had shown. Why? Because we have this word by. So whenever you say by 2010, by 2015, instead of using past simple, you can use past perfect simple, and it gives you a plus for your general grammatical range and accuracy. Okay, instead of using past simple all the time, sometimes you can include past perfect simple, but we'll learn how to include them today, so don't worry about it. Let's look at this one. So, however, the data for Austria experienced a marked decline up until 2010. So, as you can see, it's decreasing until 2010. Thereafter, which it climbed sharply to amount to 275,000 in 2015. So you should check these words in your dictionary. It's a really good way of explaining. So to amount to means like to have that number, okay? To have that like 275,000. So yeah, now let's look at this whole writing, okay? So now you can see the example. This is body 1. Let me just write. This one is body 1. And as you can notice, I underlined these parts. These are cohesive devices, and that's why they have been underlined. But here we have this thing is highlighted. Why? Because it's like a small comment. Yeah, it's a comparison. That's why it's been highlighted. So let me just send it to you guys. All right, here's what we're gonna do now. Now, I want you to talk about this. Right now, let's talk about this part, okay? Make, right? Sweden. Okay. I want you to write a body paragraph about Sweden, okay? I highlighted it. I will read your answers, okay? Just make a similar sentence. How do I know exactly? Because you just look at this part, okay? You just guess it, okay, by looking at the numbers, okay? So I want you to write something, a body to paragraph about Sweden. Okay, just write your answers and I will read them. Yes, by guessing. You just give an approximate number because it's between 300, it's between 250 and 300. You just guess, okay? You just give an approximate number. You don't have to be precise because it's not the precise. The picture is not precise, yeah? So you just guess it by looking at it. Yes, you have to use about or something. All right, can you guys write body to paragraph about Sweden? Oh yeah, you wrote it. As regards to the quantity of undergraduates decreased. All right, Jasmina, you should use past simple here, but use present simple, okay? Try to use past simple. So in your first example, you're using present simple, but it's all in the past. So you just use past simple. Regarding Sweden, the figure for this country was approximately 360. Not falling. Instead, you should say, Mavlambek, you should say, and fell, yeah, not falling. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let me just find. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Let's look at this sentence. So, all right, the figure for this country was approximately 360. But, so here's what you should say. But fell to about 230, decreasing by 130 in 2015. Okay, so you shouldn't say falling. Instead, you should just say fell. Yeah, but fell. So what about others? Looking at Sweden, the number of quantities of students was downward trend. Okay, several. Let me just correct your sentence. So let's look at another example. So looking at Sweden, the number of quantities. Okay, here's what you should do. You should either say the quantities of students or the number of students. In this case, it's better to say the number of students. Okay. So another thing is you should not say was downward trend. Instead, you should say experienced a downward trend or saw a downward trend to just around 300,000 until 2010. However, it stood at about 200,000 in 2015. All right, now it's better. So you should say, not was a trend, but experienced the trend, saw a trend. Okay. So, all right. So obviously, I don't have time to check all of your essays, but yeah. What about Johnny? Let's see. Okay. Despite being in the first place, 350,000 students. So here you can say at the beginning of the period. Yeah, because it was the beginning of the period. The number of students in Sweden witnessed. Oh, you're talking about, what was it? Yeah, the number of students in Sweden witnessed a decline from. So here you have to include from 350 because you already mentioned this number at the beginning, so you don't have to include this part. So you just say decline to just under 300 between 1995 and 2005. So here you can say during the period or something like that. Although the figures increased slightly in 2010, they fell down dramatically. So here, you can say at the end of the period. At the end of the period means 2015. So these are some, this is better, I guess. So thank you guys for your participation. Now we'll move on to the next part, okay? I obviously don't have time to read all of your answers, so yeah, here's how you can write it. Yeah? First, you have to give a little, a comment. You just say the pattern of change in Sweden was a far cry from the rest. Far cry means like totally different. So the pattern of change in Sweden was totally different from the rest of the countries. However, while this country dominated in undergraduate student quantities in 1995 with about 350,000, it saw a sharp fall over the period and had only slightly more than 200,000 bachelor's level students. So instead of saying undergraduate students, you can say bachelor's level students in the last year in question. All right, so that's how you can write. Yeah. So, yeah. I think now you guys know how to write body paragraphs as well. So this one is body 2. This one is body 1. Now we'll move on to the last section of our class. Now we'll learn how to include complex grammar. So as you can see, today we learned these grammar rules. The first one is you can just include before and after. Yeah? So first you have to include independent clause, then before, after, plus verb ing. For example, the number of cars decreased to 300 before rising to 500. Okay, so you can also use before at the beginning of the sentence instead of at the end. Yeah. So you can also use while, although to compare or to contrast. Yeah. For example, while Daniel had 3 apples, I had none. This is just an example. Or you can also use this although, grammar although. Yeah. So although the figure for Greece was lowest throughout the span, it had shown an uninterrupted increase from approximately 8,000 to 180,000 by the final year. So yeah, you can use although, while, for. So what else? Another grammar rule is despite. Yeah, despite is similar to although, but after although you should include clause. Yeah, like subject plus verb. But after despite, you include verb ing or noun, then you include independent clause. For example, despite this negligible fall, it easily had the greatest count for most of the period. And one more grammar is past perfect simple, by year. So whenever you include by plus year, you can use past perfect simple because it happened before that year. Okay? It had shown an uninterrupted increase from approximately 80,000 to 180,000 by the final year. So since we have by and year, we can use past perfect simple. Okay? So, and you can also include relative clause to give extra information. For example, Russia accounted for 30 million, which was the highest of all. So which I'm giving an extra information. The number of GMR sales showed a considerable rise, which increased from 300 million to 600 million over the span. So yeah, you probably know how to include, relative clause. Now we'll talk about reduced relative clause, also called participle clause. Yeah. So as you can see here, it says like which reached. Yeah. But instead of saying that, you can say reaching. So which reached is changed into reaching, which is called reduced relative clause. It's also called present participle clause. Yeah. So you just omit which, and reached will change into reaching. Yeah, ing. The verb plus ing. So now we'll do a small exercise again. I will probably send it to you guys. So let me just. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Now you guys learn how to include it. Yeah, for example, how to write a reduced relative clause. So can you guys change this sentence into reduced relative clause, into a participle clause? All right, let's change it just like this. The picture I sent you guys. Can you guys change it? So we have the word which climate, and how does it change into present participle clause? Just write your answers in the group. All right, I got a lot of answers. Yes, you guys are all right. That's all correct. So it will just change into like this. Gold bar price experiences a spectacular rise in November, climbing to a new peak of 625. So yeah, which climate? You just omit which, and you just change climate into climbing. So now let's do another task. The figures then dropped sharply to well below 5,000, which was the lowest in record for more than 4 years. How do you change this one? Okay, Muhammad Yusuf, you shouldn't say which climbing is the correct answer. Okay, let me just send it to you guys. So this is the correct answer. Here's the answer. Okay, send your answers to the group. So you need to change the verb into ing verb. All right, Bagdan, Korean, Kim, Pak, To, Ryo. Kim, Pak, To, Ryo. Lowing. Lowing is not verb, okay? You need to find the verb and change it into ing. Okay, low is not a verb. Low is an adjective. Yeah? Manzura Diobek. Not lowered. Not lowered. So we have the only verb here is was, yeah? So it will just change into being. Thank you guys if you got it right, but if you didn't, now you know. Like I'm trying to teach you guys. So the figures then dropped sharply to well below 5,000, being the lowest in record for more than 40 years. Can we just drop which was? Of course you can do that, but it's a bit more advanced grammar, so I'm not teaching it right now because before you learn that, you have to know this participle clause before we move on to that. I don't know what it's called, the name of that grammar, but yeah, you can just drop which was as well. So, what else? So what about this one? One more. One more. Oh, it's the same. Oh, okay. All right. That's it for today's lesson. Of course, I cannot teach you guys all the advanced grammar in just one lesson. It's a bit of a headache. Not just for me, for everyone else. So I'm sure like today was enough for you. So, if you have any questions, you can just, I don't know if I have to do any questions right now because I feel a bit tired, but yeah. But before we move on, I just have to, save the video. Yeah, or how do I save it? So it's almost 128 minutes. Stop recording.